I'm Lisa, 29F, and I've been struggling with a difficult family situation for years now. It all started when I was 20 years old, a bright-eyed sophomore in college studying psychology. I had big dreams of becoming a clinical psychologist, inspired by the therapist who helped me through my dad's death when I was a kid. I was doing well in my classes, had a close group of friends, and was even considering studying abroad the following year. But everything changed when my mom, Sandra, 52F, was diagnosed with a severe chronic illness that left her unable to work. It was a rare autoimmune disorder that attacked her joints and muscles, leaving her in constant pain and with limited mobility. The doctors said it was progressive and while treatable, there was no cure. At the time, my younger brother Tom, 24M, was only 15 and still in high school. He was a typical teenager, moody, rebellious, and more interested in video games than anything else. Our dad had passed away in a car accident when Tom was just a baby, so it had always been just the three of us. Mom had worked hard as a legal secretary to support us, but her illness meant she could no longer do that job. When Mom got sick, I knew I had to step up. I remember sitting in my dorm room, staring at the psychology textbooks scattered across my desk, and realizing that my dreams would have to be put on hold. It wasn't an easy decision, but I felt like I had no other choice. Mom needed constant care and medical treatments, and Tom was too young to shoulder that burden. I still remember the day I went to the registrar's office to officially withdraw from college. The advisor tried to talk me out of it, suggesting part-time options or taking a leave of absence. But I knew that wouldn't be enough. We needed money, and we needed it now. So, at 20 years old, I entered the workforce full-time. My first job was as a receptionist at a small accounting firm. The pay was minimal, but it was steady, and they were willing to hire me without a degree. I moved back home to save money on rent and to be there for Mom and Tom. Those first few months were incredibly difficult. I went from the stimulating environment of college lectures and study groups to answering phones and filing paperwork. In the evenings, I'd help Mom with her physical therapy exercises and make sure Tom was keeping up with his schoolwork. There were many nights I'd lie awake, wondering if I'd made the right choice. But I pushed through, telling myself it was temporary. I thought that once Mom's condition stabilized and Tom was older, I'd be able to go back to school. I clung to that hope, even as the years passed and it seemed increasingly unlikely. Over time, I worked my way up from receptionist to administrative assistant. The pay got a bit better, enough to cover our bills and Mom's medical expenses. I made sure Tom had everything he needed for school, supplies, clothes, money for field trips. I wanted him to have all the opportunities I couldn't. Tom was able to finish high school and even go to college thanks to scholarships and financial aid. I was so proud of him and happy that at least one of us would get a degree. I remember the day he got his acceptance letter. I cried tears of joy and took him out for ice cream to celebrate, just like Mom and Dad used to do when we got good grades as kids. Throughout this time, I put my own dreams and ambitions on hold. No more college, no traveling, no real social life outside of work. Everything revolved around taking care of Mom and supporting Tom. It was exhausting, but I told myself it was worth it for my family. I'd watch my old college friends posting on social media about their graduations, new jobs, and exciting lives, trying not to feel bitter or resentful. There were moments of happiness too. Like when Mom had a good day and we'd sit together watching old movies, just like we used to before she got sick. Or when Tom would call from college, excited about a good grade or a new friend he'd made. Those moments made the sacrifices feel worthwhile. But as the years went on, I started to feel increasingly unappreciated and taken for granted. Mom's condition had stabilized somewhat, but she still needed a lot of care. She complained constantly about how hard her life was, but rarely acknowledged everything I'd sacrificed. She'd make comments about how I should be doing more, or how other daughters she knew were more devoted to their mothers. It hurt, but I tried to brush it off. Tom's attitude changed dramatically once he started college. He used to call every week, eager to share stories about his classes and campus life. But gradually, the calls became less frequent. When he did call, it was usually because he needed money or help with something. He rarely asked how Mom and I were doing. I noticed Tom's social media was full of pictures of him at parties with his new college friends, on spring break trips I could never afford. There was a growing distance between us that I didn't know how to bridge. When he'd come home for holidays, he'd spend most of the time out with his high school friends, barely acknowledging Mom and me. Things came to a head last week when Tom graduated college. I was so excited and proud of him. I'd been saving for months to buy him a nice watch as a graduation gift, nothing extravagant, but a good quality timepiece I thought he could wear to job interviews. I remembered how much it meant to me when Dad gave me my first real watch for my 16th birthday, and I wanted to pass on that tradition to Tom. The graduation ceremony was lovely, and I teared up watching Tom walk across the stage to receive his diploma. But at his graduation party afterwards, it was like Mom and I didn't exist. Tom spent the whole time with his college friends and new girlfriend, a stylish girl named Megan who looked at Mom and me like we were something unpleasant she'd stepped in. When I tried to give Tom his gift, he brushed me off and said he was too busy. I stood there holding the wrapped box, feeling foolish and hurt. Mom didn't even seem to notice. She was too busy telling anyone who would listen about how successful Tom was going to be and how he was going to take care of us now. I retreated to a quiet corner of the party, fighting back tears. That's when I overheard Tom talking to Megan and a couple of his friends. He was saying how embarrassed he was of his loser family and how he couldn't wait to move away and start his new job. He said he was sick of us dragging him down and he was going to cut contact once he left. I was shocked and heartbroken. I couldn't believe my little brother, who I'd given up everything for, would say such cruel things. I remembered all the nights I'd stayed up late helping him with his homework, the times I'd gone without new clothes or haircuts so he could have spending money at college. And this was how he really felt about us? The next day, I confronted Tom about what I'd heard. Instead of apologizing, he blew up at me. He said I was pathetic for giving up my life for Mom and that he never asked me to do that. He said I was just jealous of his success and trying to guilt trip him. Mom overheard us arguing and instead of defending me, she told me I was being dramatic and needed to leave Tom alone. She said I should be happy for him instead of trying to ruin his big moment. I've spent the last few days in a daze, questioning everything. Did I make a huge mistake sacrificing my future for my ungrateful family? Should I have been more selfish and lived my own life instead? I'm starting to feel like I've wasted the last 9 years of my life for nothing. I find myself daydreaming about what my life could have been if I'd stayed in college. Would I be a psychologist now, helping people work through their problems? Would I have traveled, made new friends, fallen in love? Instead, I'm 29 with no degree, stuck in a dead-end job, watching my youth slip away as I care for a mother who doesn't appreciate me and a brother who's ashamed of me. I'm seriously considering just packing up and leaving. Starting over somewhere new where I can focus on myself for once. But I feel guilty about abandoning Mom, even though she doesn't seem to appreciate me. What if her condition gets worse and she has no one to care for her? But then I think, why should I keep sacrificing my life for people who don't value me? I don't know what to do. Am I overreacting? Should I try to fix things with Tom and Mom? Or is it time for me to finally put myself first? I feel lost and alone, and I don't know where to turn. Update 1. Thank you all for the supportive comments on my original post. They really helped give me some perspective on my situation. I wanted to give an update on what's happened in the last couple weeks. After a lot of soul searching and rereading all of your advice, I decided I needed to have an honest conversation with my mom and Tom about how I've been feeling. I spent days rehearsing what I wanted to say in my head, trying to find the right words to express my hurt without sounding accusatory. I invited Tom over for dinner, telling him I wanted to clear the air after our argument. He reluctantly agreed. I spent all day cleaning the house and cooking Mom's favorite lasagna recipe, hoping that a nice family dinner might soften everyone up. When we all sat down at the dinner table, I took a deep breath and tried to calmly explain how hurt and unappreciated I felt. I told them about all the sacrifices I've made over the years, not just dropping out of college, but all the little things too. The vacations I never took, the friends I lost touch with, the relationships I never had time to pursue. I explained how their recent behavior has affected me, how it made me feel like all those sacrifices were for nothing. Unfortunately, it didn't go well at all. Mom got extremely defensive right away. She accused me of trying to make her feel guilty for being sick. She said things like, "I didn't ask you to drop out of college, that was your choice. And do you think I wanted to get sick and ruin your life?" She brought up how her own mother had cared for her sick father for years without complaining. I tried to explain that I wasn't blaming her for getting sick, just asking for some appreciation, but she wouldn't listen. Tom barely said anything at first, he just sat there pushing his lasagna around his plate with an annoyed look on his face. When I brought up the cruel things I overheard him saying at his graduation party, he didn't even deny it. He just shrugged and said, "Well, it's true, isn't it? You are kind of a loser." I was shocked he would say that to my face. I asked him how he could be so cruel after everything I'd done for him. He rolled his eyes and said, "Oh, here we go with the guilt trip again." Mom didn't even defend me. She just told me I was being too sensitive and that Tom didn't mean it like that. But I could see in Tom's face that he meant exactly what he said. He started listing off all his accomplishments, his degree, his new job offer, his plans to move to the city. Then he looked at me and said, What have you done with your life? You're almost 30 and you're still living at home, working as a secretary. It's pathetic. I couldn't hold back my tears at that point. Between sobs, I told them how much their words hurt me. I reminded Tom of all the times I'd supported him, helping him with school projects, driving him to sports practices, buying him clothes for college when Mom couldn't afford to. I asked him if any of that meant anything to him. Tom's response was to stand up and say he was done with this toxic family drama. He said he was moving out next week and that maybe it was better if we didn't talk for a while. Then he walked out, leaving his dinner untouched. After Tom left, Mom turned on me. She said I was selfish for making everything about me when she's the one who's been suffering all these years with her illness. She accused me of trying to turn Tom against her. She said if I was so unhappy, maybe I should just leave too. I left the house in tears, feeling worse than ever. I spent the night at my friend Kelly's place, trying to figure out what to do next. Kelly has been my best friend since high school, one of the few friendships I managed to maintain over the years. She's always been supportive of me, even when I had to cancel plans last minute because of family obligations. She listened to me cry and vent for hours that night. The next day, I went back home to pack up some of my things. I've decided to move in with Kelly temporarily while I figure out my next steps. When Mom realized I was packing, she freaked out. She started crying and saying she didn't know how she would survive without me. She brought up Dad, saying he would be so disappointed in me for abandoning my family. For a moment I felt guilty and considered staying. But then she started in on how ungrateful I was being after everything she'd done for me. That was the final straw. I told her I was leaving and that I needed some time and space to myself. She tried to guilt-trip me by saying her health would deteriorate without me there. I stood firm and said she would need to figure out other arrangements. I suggested she look into home health aides or ask her sister for help. She said she could never trust strangers to care for her like I do, but I realized that was no longer my problem to solve. Packing up my room was a surreal experience. I found old psychology textbooks I kept, thinking I might go back to school someday. There were photo albums full of family pictures, vacations we took before Mom got sick, Tom's high school graduation. Looking at those smiling faces, it was hard to reconcile them with the people who had hurt me so deeply. I've been at Kelly's for about a week now. Mom has been calling and texting nonstop, alternating between angry messages about what a terrible daughter I am and pleading messages begging me to come home. I've blocked her number for now. Tom hasn't reached out at all. Kelly's apartment is small, but she's made space for me. It feels strange to suddenly have free time in the evenings, to not have to rush home to check on Mom or do chores. I'm still adjusting to the quiet, to not having to be constantly alert for Mom calling for help. I'm still struggling with feelings of guilt, but I also feel a sense of relief. For the first time in years, I'm putting myself first. I've started looking into classes at the local community college to finally finish my degree. I'm also considering applying for a new job, something more in line with my interests. I've even started going to a yoga class with Kelly, something I never had time for before. It's scary to think about starting over at 29, but also exciting. I know I have a lot of healing and self-discovery to do. I'm trying to rediscover who I am outside of being a caretaker. But for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful about my future. Thank you all again for helping me find the courage to make this change. I'll update again when there are new developments. Update 2. It's been about a month since I moved out of my mom's house, and I wanted to give another update on how things have been going. Living with my friend Kelly has been a breath of fresh air. She's been so supportive and it's nice to have some peace and quiet for once. We've fallen into a comfortable routine, making dinner together in the evenings, watching movies on weekends. It's reminded me of how much I missed having close friendships. I've been using this time to really focus on myself and figure out what I want for my future. After years of putting everyone else first, it feels strange to prioritize my own needs and desires. But I'm slowly learning to do it without feeling guilty. One of the biggest steps I've taken is enrolling in 2 classes at the community college, Intro to Psychology and English Composition. It feels amazing to be back in school again after all these years. Walking into that first class, I felt a mix of excitement and terror. I worried I'd be the oldest one there, that I wouldn't be able to keep up after being out of school for so long. But my fears were unfounded. There are plenty of other adult students in my classes, some even older than me. And it turns out, all those years of managing household finances and juggling responsibilities have actually made me a better student. I'm more focused and disciplined than I was at 20. I forgot how much I loved learning. Discussing psychological theories in class has reignited my passion for the field. My professors have been really understanding about my situation and are helping me get back into the swing of things academically. I've even made a study group with a few classmates, which has been great for both academic support and socializing. Balancing work, school, and my new social life has been challenging, but in a good way. It's a different kind of stress than what I'm used to. It's stress that's pushing me to grow rather than just survive. I also started seeing a therapist to work through some of my feelings about my family situation. It's been really helpful to talk things out with a neutral third party. She's helping me set boundaries and work on my self-esteem. We've been exploring why I felt so compelled to sacrifice everything for my family and how I can build a life that includes taking care of others without losing myself in the process. As for my family, things are still pretty tense. Mom kept trying to contact me for the first couple weeks, alternating between guilt trips and angry messages. She'd say things like, "I hope you're happy abandoning your sick mother one day, and please come home, I need you the next." I maintained my boundary of not responding. Eventually the messages stopped. Tom reached out once, not to apologize, but to ask if I would help Mom move some furniture. I politely declined and suggested he help her instead. He got angry and said some more hurtful things about how selfish I was being. I didn't engage and just blocked his number too. Last week, I ran into my mom's sister, my Aunt Rachel, at the grocery store. I've always been close with Aunt Rachel. She was like a second mother to me growing up. She asked why I wasn't answering Mom's calls. I briefly explained the situation, feeling a bit nervous about how she would react. To my surprise, Aunt Rachel was very understanding. She said she had always thought it was unfair how much pressure was put on me growing up. She shared that she had gone through something similar with her own mother years ago and had to set boundaries to protect her own mental health. Aunt Rachel told me that Mom has been complaining to everyone about how I abandoned her. But Aunt Rachel said she knows that's not the real story. She's offered to help Mom out more so that the burden doesn't all fall on me. It was nice to feel like someone in the family was on my side for once. In terms of work, I've started looking for a new job. I had an interview last week for an entry-level HR position at a local nonprofit. It went really well and I'm hopeful I'll get an offer soon. The pay would be a bit better than my current job and there's room for growth. More importantly, it's work that feels meaningful and aligns more with my interests. Overall, I'm feeling cautiously optimistic about the future. It's still hard some days. I have moments of doubt and guilt. Sometimes I lie awake at night worrying about Mom and how she's managing without me. But then I remind myself how much happier and healthier I am now that I'm prioritizing my own needs. I'm excited to see where this new chapter of my life takes me. For the first time in years, I feel like I have options and opportunities ahead of me. I'm rediscovering old passions and exploring new ones. Last weekend, Kelly and I went hiking, something I used to love but hadn't done in years because I never had the time. I know I have a long journey ahead of me. Untangling years of codependency and rebuilding my life won't happen overnight. But I'm committed to the process, no matter how challenging it might be. I'm learning to trust myself and my decisions, even when they're difficult. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It truly made a difference in giving me the courage to make these changes. I'll update again if there are any significant developments. Update 3. Hi everyone, I wanted to give one final update on my situation. It's been about 3 months since I moved out and a lot has changed. The biggest news is that I got the job at the nonprofit. I've been working there for about a month now and I absolutely love it. The work is challenging but rewarding, and my coworkers are great. We're working on programs to support underprivileged youth in the community, which feels meaningful and aligns with my interest in psychology. It feels amazing to be in a positive work environment for once, where my contributions are valued and appreciated. I'm still taking classes at the community college and doing well. I'm on track to finish my associate's degree by next year. Then I'm planning to transfer to a 4-year university to complete my bachelor's in psychology. It's been challenging balancing work and school, but I'm motivated in a way I haven't been in years. Living with Kelly has continued to be wonderful. We've become even closer friends. She's been encouraging me to get out more and socialize. Last week we went to a local meetup group for young professionals and I met some really nice people. I'm slowly rebuilding my social life and remembering how to just have fun without feeling guilty about it. As for my family situation, things are still complicated. Mom finally stopped trying to contact me directly, but she's been spreading a lot of negativity about me to other family members and family friends. It hurts, but I'm trying not to let it get to me. My therapist has been helping me work through these feelings and maintain my boundaries. Tom graduated and moved across the country for his new job. He sent me a text saying he was leaving and that he hoped I would get my act together while he was gone. I didn't respond. Part of me is sad about how distant we've become, remembering how close we were when we were younger. But I'm also realizing that I need to accept him for who he is now, not who I wish he would be. The one bright spot has been my growing relationship with Aunt Rachel. She's been checking in on me regularly and has become a source of support. She told me she's proud of me for standing up for myself and making positive changes in my life. It means a lot to have at least one family member in my corner. Last week, Aunt Rachel invited me over for dinner. When I got there, I was surprised to see my mom was there too. Apparently Aunt Rachel had arranged it hoping we could talk things out. I almost turned around and left, but decided to stay and hear them out. At first it was really tense and awkward. Mom looked older and more tired than I remembered. For a moment, I felt the pang of guilt. But then I reminded myself why I had left in the first place. As the evening went on, Mom actually started to open up a bit. She admitted that she had taken me for granted over the years and that she was scared of losing me completely. She said she's been going to therapy too, trying to work on her own issues. We're still not in a great place, but it felt like a tiny step in the right direction. I told her I needed more time and space, but that maybe we could start having short, supervised visits with Aunt Rachel present. Mom agreed, though she looked sad about it. I'm still maintaining firm boundaries, but I feel less angry than I did before. I'm focusing on healing and building the life I want for myself. For the first time in years, I'm excited about my future. I'm learning to put myself first without feeling selfish about it. There are still challenges ahead. I'm still figuring out how to balance my own needs with caring for others in a healthy way. I'm working on forgiving my family without letting them take advantage of me again. It's a process, and I know there will be good days and bad days. But overall, I feel like I'm on the right path. I'm proud of myself for having the courage to make these changes, even though they were incredibly difficult. I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds. I hope my story can help others who might be in similar situations. Remember, it's never too late to start prioritizing your own happiness and well-being.